There are people that believe in ghosts and there are people that know. I'd like to think that I'm one of those people that know. In fact, I know. I'm Craig Owens. I'm a paranormal investigator, researcher, and fine art photographer. I go and stage elaborate photo shoots because I believe that the photos that I stage and that I shoot actually trigger paranormal activity in haunted locations. Come forward and talk, please. I'm going to set this on the table. Oops, excuse me. I was curious at the Mission Inn as to why I saw a ghost. Why are these places haunted? And I'd heard the ghost stories. I'd heard the ghost stories from security. I'd heard ghost stories from various employees. You could find them online. And I thought, well, this might make a fun project. What if I shot a bunch of photos in some haunted hotels? What's great about haunted hotels is that that's one of the very few historic locations that'll let you spend the night. In fact, they encourage you to spend the night. It's like renting a haunted hotel for the weekend. Okay, this is Craig, Jameson, Melinda, and Georgiana, Lulu. We just entered the Hollow, and we'll look up the time later, but it's somewhere around what time?
It's yeah.
It's 1:12.
Yep.
1:12 a.m. So this is a good time to be here. Here's how I did it, just real quickly, is I would go find a location. I would do just a real preliminary research on the history, probably Wikipedia and maybe a couple of other sites. And I would kind of glance over the ghost stories that are either online or in a few books. This would give me some kind of idea of what kind of photo shot theme that I wanted to do. So once I kind of came up with a shoot list of what I wanted to shoot, I went and cast models, got them all outfitted in costumes, made sure that we had permission from the hotel to be there, and that these areas were available during slow periods of the week, slow periods of the year, so that we had some degree of control over the environment. What do you think of this beautiful girl in your room?
Ooh, the bat.
Yep.
Oh my god, that was awesome.
I wonder if it's not attracting the light.
No.
I just recorded a bat flying in there too because I heard a noise and I caught it flying.
There it goes.
Are
One.
you okay?
We would stay at these places for about 3 to 4 days at a time. And we were definitely like a silent film stock troupe. I mean, we took our meals there, we showed up, we carried our own costumes, we carried our own props. I mean, I may have been the photographer and the producer and the boss, but I was lugging coffee around and doing everything else as well. I was also everyone's PA. And so we would stay there for about 4 days. And then we would run paranormal tests, sometimes during the shoot, but most of the time afterwards. And the paranormal tests consisted of leaving audio recorders behind. Not so much messing with video because I had enough problems and enough equipment to worry about rather than having to set up a big video production as well. So we would put select models that wanted to be in haunted rooms. Some of them didn't. Some of them didn't even want to be in haunted buildings, but we would put them in a few people in select rooms, and we would just monitor everything. And after 3 or 4 days, we had a pretty good idea of whether or not there was any merit to the stories.
No, it's super creepy in here.
Mm-hmm.
My stomach dropped when we came right in over here into
really?
the hallway.
Okay.
And I got just awful like butterfly pit stomach.
Hmm.
Yeah. And
Okay.
then when we were doing this shooting, there was like creaking. he heard it too. The security guard heard it.
Yeah.
And I could hear it moving back and forth.
Really?
Yeah. And I still have this awful pit in my stomach right now.
Yay.
I became hooked. That was the first EVP that I really caught that I went, okay, there's something to this EVP thing. That was step one. Step two was at the Palomar Inn in Temecula, where I actually photographed a ghost. That was the one thing that I guess I needed to see before I became a full believer. It's still daylight outside, maybe a little after 6 p.m. I'm shooting a man on the stairs holding a Tommy gun. When I thought I got the shot that I needed, I went up to the model. He saw something in the LED screen of my camera, so I looked. This is not supposed to be in the shot. It's a man reaching over and he's grabbing something. 2 stacks of modern wine tasting brochures, because Temecula is wine country, right? They were gone. We discovered that those brochures had disappeared in thin air. The act of something disappearing, it's called apportment. I would go home, we'd all disband. I would go over all the audio, and then I would do the intensive research. And I started finding out that a lot of the ghost stories did not add up historically. But then, oddly enough, I found that the history didn't add up either. It was the same, the historians were doing the same darn thing that the paranormal people were. They were just taking what the last person wrote and not fact-checking it and just going with it. So what turned out to be kind of like a thin little feel-good book about haunted hotels ended up being this, you know. I wanted people, once I realized that, oh my goodness, the facts are wrong, the history's wrong, and some locations have been completely neglected, including the Alexandria Hotel, by LA's own historians, their army of historians. So it was like, oh my goodness, I wanted to get this information out because I thought it was important for posterity's sake. But I also wanted to know when these ghost stories started, when did they become viral, and how did they change over the years? And then I would introduce what happened to me on those shoots and what happened to the staff. And we did have some weird things happen at some of these locations. So that's how Haunted by History was created.